to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are, you're watching this. Welcome to Athletics LLC, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another fun, entertaining, enthusiastic week of commentary, answers, arguments, if you would. Some would call arguing, some would call opinion making. Some topics tonight that we're going to get into will be interesting. So we will hope to captivate you and some of the other audiences. But as always, we'll start the evening out with an introduction of our lovely gentlemen here as tiles on our screen. We have Lamar, the talent scout Huffins. Well, I don't know what I did with that one. Lucious.
Hello, everyone.
And Clyde.
And Big League, before we get started, I would like to say that, like, we don't fight, we don't argue, we just passionately discuss our views is what we do. Yeah, very passionately at times.
Very passionately.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Midwest, anonymously, for the new tie, which I love, which goes perfectly with my goat hat here, which I got in the Minneapolis airport not too recently. Print store, check it out. It's amazing.
Clyde, I adore that hat.
See what you did there.
Wow. That was so creative there, Lamar. What are we going to do with it?
How much did you pay for that? $19.99?
A little higher. It's Prince. It's a little higher.
See, he didn't get it.
$19.99.
Oh, man. Boom, boom. Where's our sound effect?
Yeah, and moving forward.
I know. Well, we're going to jump into the deep end, just head first. So, what are our thoughts about the NCAA thinking of moving the cross-country championships to the spring? And if they do so, what effect does this have on indoor and outdoor track and field?
Oh, boy. Lamar, would you like to go first?
I wouldn't, but I'm going to because I think that's what you want me to do. So
Well, I'll be glad to go first if you'd like me to.
This is when I have to get. This is when I have to pull one of these numbers. Well,
You have a cup
what do
tonight?
I think of it? I'll be honest. What I think of it is this. I think that they realize two things. One, if they just bail on cross country, distance runners are going to complain that they've had 3 seasons and 3 championships in a row taken from them, which is true. I also think that they're trying to explore what a common sense person would understand as the obvious, which is the greatest safety risk of the 3 sports is obviously indoor track. Without football, the conversation has to be, where can we cut costs? If you can cut one of the championships out, that may be helpful. And I think we're in a situation where they're probably going to make people justify their existence. So, I mean, those are the facts of the case, but I mean, what do I actually think of it? I think it's ridiculous. I think that having cross country, almost every sport that we do collegiately is in the season it belongs in. And I think if you just pick a sport and change the season, it would be horrible. So if you take cross country out of the fall and put it in the spring, yes, that's way better for some and truly way better, way worse for others. I think it's forcing a square peg into a triangular hole, but that the NCAA does that a lot, right? And I know I keep flogging this dead horse, but it's once again a tremendous show of a lack of leadership and decision making. So I guess what I'll say is, what I really feel is it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Wow. So, man, you're just full of interesting quotes tonight, aren't you?
Don't eat pizza in Utah. That's all I can tell you.
Is that maybe it's the hat, but so here's what I'm going to tell you. So if I don't know any way you could have all three. So this idea that you're going to do cross country, indoor and outdoor, you just take that and toss it in the trash can someplace.
It's insanity.
Exactly. And first of all, it's totally unfair to the distance faction, because now they're going to be forced to choose, right? So, and then how do you choose? So, or then if you try to do all three, then there's going to be the coach that says, well, I'm going to run some of the indoor season and then run the cross country championship and then come right back into the indoor championship. So I just don't think there's any way that you do that. The other thing is this is the point you make about the 3 championships in a row. The same thing happens with if you get rid of indoor track, because now you've missed 3 championships on that side as well. So everybody has the same argument. So, but let's be clear that from my eyes, from my ears, from what I trust and believe, you're either going to have cross country and outdoor or indoor and outdoor. You know, there's no way they're going to come forth with all 3. And I think the only way you're going to make this happen is if you find a way to show you can do indoor track safely. Because if you can't do indoor track safely, and it is of the 3, as you said, it's the most dangerous of the 3 in view of the pandemic that we're going through right now, then you're likely looking at a situation, if you can't show that indoor can be done safely, you're going to have cross country and outdoor track. I don't see any way around it unless you can show the powers that be that indoor track can be run safely. I think that it can be, if it's done very, very carefully, but it's got to be done very, very carefully.
I'm going to say this the way I actually feel it and the way I've been feeling it when I keep hearing these ideas about cross country being shifted to the springs. I don't get it, is how I feel. I don't get it at all. Let's examine for a second the term spring. Now, normally when people say spring, you know, the sun is out and birds are chirping and, you know, there's not a lot of rain and that kind of stuff. But collegiately, when we say spring, we literally mean the start of the spring semester, which is January. Now, I live in California. It's perfectly fine in January in California. And if people want to go run, you know, 10Ks in the park or whatever, I'm sure that will work out just fine. However, there's certain other parts of this nation, the Midwest, the East Coast, where that's probably a really bad idea. So I don't get it. Now, if the powers that be say, no, we literally mean spring by the regular people definition, and we're going to push, you know, cross-country championships into, I don't know, April or something, well, now you're eating up the outdoor season and you're going to turn collegiate track and field in 2021 into the equivalent of a Texas or a, you know, South Carolina high school season where we're going to run for 4 weeks and call it a day. Like, is that what this ultimately boils down to? I don't get it. I agree with my colleagues here that indoor, by definition of COVID regulations, is easily the hardest of the 3 seasons to justify medically. And if we're going to lose any one of them medically, it'll probably end up being indoor. And as much as that will make a lot of people upset, you're going to have a hard time arguing the facts of that from a medical perspective. So timeline wise, I guess you could do cross country from January to March, but that feels like suicide to a whole bunch of people in the majority of the places that run cross country, you know, seriously. And if COVID is a thing and all the people in the East Coast and the Midwest shouldn't be on planes flying to travel to compete, they're going to have to do that to execute a cross country season during that time. So I don't get it. My attitude is, at the end of the day, last year, track and field, baseball, and a whole bunch of other people had to lose a season because of COVID. In many parts of the country, football is losing a season because of COVID. Cross country can lose a season because of COVID. It's going to be all right. Everybody got to take a hit. I don't know why we have to move something that does not belong in the winter, and that's what we're talking about, the winter, and try to force it in. as Lamar so eloquently stated. And I don't even really see the value of, I think we should try to do indoor if we can do it responsibly. And if not, we can just train and get ready for outdoor. I don't understand why there needs to be a cross-country season in the spring, AKA the winter. I'm not a distance coach. I don't work at a place. I've never worked at a place where it's a cross-country only team. And I know there's a lot of those out there in the country. So I get that. I get it and I have sympathy for it. But like I said, we all had to take a hit. And last I checked, every school that has indoor and outdoor track, every school that only has outdoor track, that has distance runners, all those same kids participate in outdoor track. So it's not like they're not going to get to race. So my attitude is everybody needs to take a hit because I don't get it.
And I think that the big thing for me is you just have to do what's right and you have to do what's safe. And like as far, okay, let's just deal with the whole cross country starting in January, because it's going to start in January and end in March sometime. Okay. You've got the month of January and early February. That's a disaster for most of the country. So like, okay, it sounds good and it sounds cute. Where are you going to run these meets? So now all of a sudden everybody's got to come to the South. They got to go to California, the most expensive places for them to get to, the longest trips they have to take. Okay, because I don't think the traditional places, you're not running up at Notre Dame and those places in January. Not happening. So I think that there's got to be a little more thought put into this before we just jump up. We're going to move the championship to the spring. They'll figure it out. That's not fair. I don't think they're really thinking about the athletes. And I think about the coaches. And I think about the time and the effort it's going to take to even try to get qualified for said championship. Okay. When it comes to the indoor season, if there can be a plan put together to make it inclusive for everybody and safely for everybody, I'm all for it. But I can tell you right now, could be some thinking outside the box, a lot of thinking outside the box. Meets have to be a lot smaller. You're talking about 5 or 6 teams and facilities. You're talking about limited numbers on the track, limited numbers in the buildings. It's just going to take a lot of planning. So I think it can be done. Absolutely, I believe it can be done. But it will take a lot of patience, a lot of planning, a lot of care to get it done. And it's going to take a collective effort of everybody involved. And that means everybody around the country. It can't be 2 or 3 people wanting to make it work and the other people going, I'm going to be selfish and I don't care. And if you don't want it to happen, then just don't care. And then it won't happen.
And see, that's the problem with, let's pretend that, the people that make those decisions could convince the powers that be to let us move forward with an indoor track season under proper restrictions that keep everybody safe. We all know what that's going to turn into. It's going to turn into the ultimate Hunger Games, the ultimate haves versus have-nots. Because the fact of the matter is there aren't enough indoor facilities and the people that own them aren't going to be bending over to try to help the little guys out and make sure that they have their seasons intact.
That's the only way it will work if the people with the facilities are willing to let the other schools. Let's be realistic, okay? Let's say the O'Connell Center is still a thing here in Gainesville, right? So I'm going to have a meet on Saturday that I've got to be willing to let people come in on Friday and have a small meet as long as they can afford to get the facility, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for everybody else.
Sunday.
Exactly right. So, people like
Birmingham all over the country.
Exactly. And that's what's going to have to take. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not going to have an indoor season. So it's going to take, like you said, in this case, the powers that be are the people that have the facilities and being kind and generous enough to rent out said facilities and not try to make $1 million while you're doing it. Or then we'll be watching cross country in the spring.
I mean,
because cross country
in a world where people are really trying their best not to get on planes, just understand that west of the Rockies, everybody's going to UW. Or in the Rockies, they're going to Boise.
NAU.
Almost impossible to drive to any of those, right? And it'd have to be like the Armory. You'd have to have a meet on Friday morning, a meet on Friday night, a meet on Saturday morning, a meet on Saturday night, and at least one meet on Sunday to have a chance to have 5 teams safe single gender meets and get everybody.
Well, see, I'm going to disagree with you that you have to have that many meets at one facility, because there are a lot of decent, actually good facilities around the country, if you stop and think about it.
No,
And,
what I'm saying is, if you're not getting on if you're not willing to take.
Okay, I get that. So basically, it affects the West Coast.
Yes,
right?
that's what I'm saying. It completely.
But the people that but you got UW, and then also, but how many West Coast teams are you really thinking are going to take masses of people anyway? There's only 2 or 3 teams out there to do that anyway.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say indoor. The indoor thing. I mean, yeah, it affects the West Coast. We basically have four venues out here. You got Boise, you got UW, you got NAU, and then you have New Mexico, and that's what you have. But the Southeast are way more schools and per capita way less facilities. Like,
okay, no, see, the Southeast, you've got, if you go count Virginia, that's Southeast.
We're gonna draw the line there. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so you got like 2 or 3 facilities in Virginia alone.
Sure.
Right? You got South Carolina, you got Clemson, you got Birmingham.
Yeah.
So the Southeast is fine, if long as those facilities are willing to share. It's like I said, it can be done. But who's going to sit down and make the plan? Who's going to show the NCAA that it can be safe? So then the bigger question, okay, let's figure out that that's going to happen. So now beyond that, how do you run the championship safely? So the first thing I'm going to tell you is, it has to be a 4-day meet, just like the NCAA meet, split the genders. It's the only way it's going to work.
Yep.
The only way it's going to work. Because you cannot have everybody in the facility at the same time. You have to limit the numbers. You have to limit, there's no way you can have, we've all been to the conference meet where you've got 50 people on the track in the 5K. No. You can't even do that outdoors right now. Right? So you're going to have some limitations. You're going to have some things that, again, it's just going to take sensibility and planning, which.
I mean, at the end of the day, do any of us act? If you had to put real money on it, what's more likely? We're gonna have indoor, or they're gonna force cross country into the spring. My money's on cross country.
They're gonna force cross country into the spring.
Bad.
Well, see, and I'm not gonna call it forcing cross country. I'm gonna call it, we'll have cross country in the spring because we couldn't show that we could do indoor safe. Because they're not going to force cross country to do anything if you can have indoor.
I just want people to take one small breath and just pay attention to geography, right? Like in the month of January, it snows 1 meter at a time in Flagstaff. They've got a pretty good distance group, right? It snows 1 foot at a time in Wisconsin, and 1 foot at a time in Minnesota, and 1 foot at a time in Michigan. Like, a lot of the distance powerhouses, I'm not sure where they're running in January.
But let's see, that's not a debate. I mean, I think, but okay. So that's the sensible side of this whole equation. Okay, the meats and potatoes of it is this: either we're going to have outdoor and indoor, or outdoor and cross country. And I don't think anybody's really stopped to think that maybe we should just have outdoor track.
And the crazy part is, it's like, I don't get how you can't come to the obvious conclusion, which is we should just have outdoor track.
Well, see, here's the problem.
Conclusion
that's the obvious conclusion to some people. But when you sit behind a desk and you think you have a good indoor track team and you want to be successful, then you don't want to give up the season. Because there's people out there that have this group of people, they're seniors, and if we don't run this year indoors, they're going to graduate, they're going to be gone, they're not coming back, then I'm not going to be very good the year after that. I'm not that guy, but you have to understand there are people out there that think that way. And we've talked about this a lot over the years, Lamar. Everybody doesn't think the way we think. They don't. And I make no bones about it that I'm all about safety. But at the end of the day, if my AD tells me I got to run indoor track, I got to find a way to make it work. Got to make it work. I got a job. I got a lot of mouths to feed in my house.
And I said I don't get it. So the people that all run outdoor track, same people, right? Cross country, indoor, same people.
And I know there has been some conversation, guys, about the cross country only schools. Yeah, it's okay. And there's only about 10 of them, but there's been that conversation.
Big league. What's next, big league?
I know I was going to say, let's
Look,
get off that
again,
one.
trust me, and I am not lobbying. I'm just those are the thoughts out there.
I can
So
just tell you this.
everybody
I don't think I'm
that
attending either of those
wants to
championships.
have an issue with what was said on the show about this tonight, Lamar, the talent, Huffins, he got you. He got
For
you.
sure.
Just send him an email. He got you.
Send my email to mouse@gators.uaa. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and I will forward it on to him. Trust me, I will.
Oh my gosh. All right, well let's put the burner back on high on this one. So this is a viewer deposit. We're gonna go ahead and make this withdrawal and put this question to you all, right? So is it sexist that everyone thinks women are too weak to handle being coached like men? Are we holding women back with this attitude?
Okay, please let me go first.
Oh,
By all means.
Okay, first of all, I don't know who these people are. Okay, and if you people out there exist, then I need you to let's just take a step back and understand that women may be are the strongest people you know if you take time to figure that out. Women have babies, for God's sake. And if you know one man that you think can have a baby, I want to meet this dude, because you know, if the world was dependent upon being populated by men, and no chance. Okay, so if there's somebody with that attitude, it's absolutely sexist, absolutely, and it's the dumbest thing ever. So whoever you are that you believe this nonsense, take it, table it, and move on with your life. Okay, because women can handle it. Trust me, they can. Right? The biggest issue you have with coaching females, just dealing with women, period, is you better get them to trust you, right? If they don't trust you, you got no shot. So stop it with they can't do what men can do. You can't. Okay, now look, I don't talk to my women the same way I talk to my men. I'm not disrespectful like that to them, okay? But do I challenge them? Absolutely. Do I encourage them to be the best they can be? Absolutely. But if you're gonna baby them, then you're gonna make them soft, and they're not gonna respect you anyway. So I'm sorry, but I don't know who you people are. Let it go.
luckily, Chew does not attach names to our viewership questions. But Lucious, you will be sad or irritated to know that this attitude actually does exist in the world, hence how the question found its way to us in the first place. And honestly, I've seen it play out many, many times at many, many levels. The answer to the question is, of course it's sexist. The answer to the question is, of course it's stupid. And I got news for the people that think like that. Lucious made the point, the main point. It's about the trust that you have with your athletes. It has nothing to do with their gender. If your kids, and I use the term kids affectionately because I currently coach the collegiate system, everyone I coach is technically an adult, but they're my kids. If your kids trust you, then you can coach them any way that is necessary to get the best out of them. And I don't understand the idea. I don't know what coaching women like men means. The whole thought of it is sexist and stupid and worthy of ridicule. I don't get that. I have had men and women who I have coached that need the hard version of me, need the get in their face version, might need to get cussed out every now and then. They need that in order to bring the best out of them. On the flip side, I've had women, and most definitely have had men, that if I remotely try that, they can't handle it. They will probably run up out of the building. It has nothing to do with gender. It all has to do with the personality and the relationship that you have with these kids. And so I don't get it. But if you are a coach, male or female, that chooses to coach differently based on the gender of your athletes, you are failing at your job. You are not living up to the coach that you could or should be. And I highly suggest that you find the reason why you're doing that, because it has absolutely nothing to do with the kids. It has everything to do with you. There's something going on with you and the way you see the world that makes you think that there's some kind of gender difference or gender bias in the way that you have to communicate with people. And that is not true based on gender. It is based on the personalities of the people that you are interacting with every day. I don't get it.
Well, in that I profess to be the talent scout, tonight I'm gonna give my report like the scouts do. They give them in very brief bullet points. 1, women are tougher than men. 2, men and women should be encouraged similarly and discouraged similarly. 3, if you coach them differently, the problem is you, not them. 4, if you think you need to coach them differently, it's probably because neither gender trusts you. 5, and last, certainly not least, anyone that you know that thinks like this, you need to sternly correct them. Let's just change this real fast. If the question said, do you think that it's racist that you would coach your black kids the same way you would coach your white kids? I think everybody would be like, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Okay, so that's a dumb thought. So end of report. Next.
And I would ask my colleagues, both on the panel and at home. For me, I've coached a lot of athletes. Over the past 15, 16 years, if I was forced to sit down and ask myself, who were the toughest people I coached, I assure you, 8 out of the top 10 on that list are all women. I'm having a hard time thinking of which guy I would put on that list. It's the women. So I'm sure. I can't. I don't get it.
Women will rise to the occasion if you challenge them to do so. If you treat them like babies and encourage them to be soft, then they will. But guess what? So will the guys. There's no difference. You coach the athlete.
Yeah.
You coach the event. And you challenge them to be great. And they will do so. But if you look at, oh my God, that's a girl. If I challenge, no. So the problem's not male or female, black, white, pink, purple, or brown. You're the problem.
Can I stick one thing in there? For those
Sure.
of you who coach like club kids and youth kids and kids of multiple ages, that's the same thing too.
Yes.
Coach your 9-year-olds the same way you would coach a 19-year-old. You cannot speak to them the same way, duh, but you can encourage and discourage them the same way too. Next.
That was a banana, and we just peeled back the whole entire outside of it.
Yes, we did.
Got it. I love it. So if you didn't quite take away from that, you need to go ahead and move that white dot backwards about 10 minutes and re-listen to that. Like everyone needs to hear that out loud. Not said by the female, said by the coach. That's something that everyone has to understand. So moving on, speaking of age group track, is age group track beneficial or detrimental to an athlete's overall potential track career?
The answer to that question is yes. Because it can easily be both.
Right.
It depends on who the hell is managing these kids. Whose direction are they under? Who are they learning from? What kind of environment are they being raised in as athletes, as people, as whatever? I can think of a million examples of how age group track saved a whole bunch of kids. I'm one of them. And I can point to a whole bunch of examples where age group track ruined some of the most phenomenal talents and potential people that we've ever seen. We could do a whole show on the real names in those stories right there. So
Next week.
there you go. So age group track is special. Age group track is right. Age group track is special. Age group track is a phenomenal resource. Age group track, just like youth football. The story in this country is all the football players will tell you they learned how to become men. They learned how to become adults through the lessons that they learned in Pop Warner football and all that. That is exactly true in age group track as well, when you have proper people managing those kids. Like it doesn't teach you anything that's negative unless the teacher themselves are negative. So I don't look at this question per se as the value or lack thereof of age group track. Just like any other experience in life, it's about the people that you encounter and the direction that you're given. Age group track can be extremely special, and it is when done well.
Bravo, my friend. Absolutely.
I'm going to jump in there and let you go last because I think that your answer is going to be better than mine.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to still give my man a standing ovation.
Absolutely. I that was incredibly well said, and I'm not going to stay on very long. I will say this. Statistics say that there is one of the few things that differ by gender. The predictions you can make for success on a track career are much greater out of success of a young male than out of success of a young female. And that is simply because in most cases they're running prepubescently. When puberty takes over, women go through changes that men don't, and you don't know what you have until puberty's over. So I will say that much. But I would say for sure, to Clyde's point, look, when done well, when used as an education, when used, I think we mentioned this about 5 or 6 episodes ago, when you're the tube and you bring somebody in this end and you send them out the other end better, but still room to be coached, then age group track is a great thing. But if you are trying to win every age group championship and you're trying to double up at the AAU and the USATF with the same 6 kids in 12 events apiece, that's just not good. And I don't care what gender it is. And so I think that Clyde's answer is probably spot on from my perspective, that the answer is probably yes. It is good, and it is horrific when done poorly.
Good job. Not quite as good as Clyde, but it was pretty good.
I agree. That's why I figured it wasn't going to be that good.
Well, look, Clyde knocked it out the park, man. That was impressive. So what I'm going to just address, one major issue for me with this, and it's a very small word that's very large, and it's ego. It's ego-driven coaches in age group track and field, because they're the coaches that are more concerned with being able to pad their statistics, pad their resumes, be able to sit down and have drinks with their buddies and brag about, well, I did this with this kid and this with that kid, and we did this and we did that. Okay. Your concern is not for the future of the athlete. Your concern is for the future of you and what you're able to say that you did. Newsflash, you are not the one crossing the finish line. Newsflash, you're not the one that has to carry this burden with you throughout the rest of your life. Because when you have them do these phenomenal things as young people and you just make them do it over and over again, when they get to the high school level, more importantly, when they get to the collegiate level, the pressure you have put upon them makes it hard for them to do their job. You have effectively ruined their lives. But then you go on to the next one and this person, is drowning someplace. And that's just not fair. So the big problem for me at this situation, and so the answer is yes. It's great. It's detrimental. It's somewhere in between at times. We've had so many phenomenal names, too many to list here right now. People that have come through age group track and went on to be Olympians, medalists, and the whole. But for that room full of people that did well, there's a graveyard out back that's overflowing because there's too many coaches in this sport. You're not concerned about the future of that athlete. So before you start doing this to these kids, think about their future. Think about their ability to go on and be successful in life, not just a track and field, but beyond. Because some of the things that you guys are doing to them destroys them for the rest of their life. And it's just not fair. Not fair at all.
Lucious.
I want to throw one thing in there real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. If you are, and I need everybody to like stop drinking and do whatever you're doing while you're watching the show and pay attention to this. If you are, or you know, an age group coach who's ever said this, athlete X did such and such for me, but he/she only did such and such when they got to college. And then they think that's a good thing for them, or you, if it's you, you're wrong. If you have an age group kid that ran faster for you than they ran in college, that is not a negative slight at the college coach. That is a negative slight at you, because you did that. You took their developmental collegiate career away from them and burnt them up. So I just want the age group ego folks who say those things to stop and realize that's not good.
That's well said as well, and I agree with all of these things that my colleagues have said. Lucious threw out a very important word, ego, and I like, because I got my start in the club track world, I'd like to give a quick little anecdote about the exact type of stuff that we're all talking about, but something that literally happened to me and my kids that has always stuck with me. I'm gonna get the year wrong, but I started coaching club track in the city of Knoxville, Tennessee. Long story short, I created my own team. Strictly high school kids, very small. You know, we did a lot of good work. The Junior Olympics that year were in Baltimore, Maryland, which was a decently expensive trip for our kids, most of whom were inner city kids from Knoxville, Tennessee. And I funded a lot of our team stuff out of my own pocket. So because I had some of the top runners in the state, a team from Nashville who was extremely well funded, corporate sponsors and all of that, came to me with the idea of, hey, why don't you add your girls under our flag and we'll fund it all and we'll go to nationals and wreck shop. Me being me, I'm like, cool, whatever we can do to get these kids to nationals without having them coming out of pocket, without having me coming out of pocket, and puts them in a better position to go and beat down the Texas kids and beat down the Florida kids, I'm all with it, because they were talented young ladies.
Always beat down the Florida kids.
On that roster. So the setup of it was immaculate. Now understand, I had boys on the team, but they were an all-female team, so they were only interested in the girls, and our girls were better. So me and the guys and the parents of the guys drove in our own vehicles out to Baltimore, and the women got a chartered trip, and they were staying downtown on the harbor at one of the fancy hotels. Me and the rest of the guys, we were literally at the Red Roof Inn in the hood in Baltimore. We get to the meet, and the coaches on the other staff tell my girls that they are going to pull out of their individual events to make sure that their relays, 4x1, 4x2, 4x4, 4x8, are on point. And of course, my girls are at the meet, to run individual events so they can get recruited to go to college. And so one of my young ladies, Lily, comes up to me like in tears, "Coach, they told me I can't run the 200. I started laughing. I was like, "Baby girl, you're gonna run the 200. I don't know what the hell they talking about, but it's fine. Let me go find out what's happening." And this man looked me in my face and said, "We funded your entire trip. Those kids can't afford to be here without us. They're gonna run what the hell we tell them to run." And I politely, for the purposes of our show, told him what he could do with that ideology, didn't punch him in his mouth, though I should have, and proceeded to take the girls out of the warm-up area because the meet started the next day, took them to the harbor, removed them from the fancy hotel, and got new hotel rooms at the Red Roof Inn out of my own pocket. And the lesson in all of that was, I don't give a damn how much money these people have. You guys are here for a purpose. The purpose is to get you to school. If we can get you to school and run fast on the relay, great. But we're not about to sacrifice your individual dream so this white dude can look good when he goes back to his corporate sponsors. That's a bunch of bullshit. The next year, all the Nashville girls ran for me. And they all went to college. So there's a lot of this ego stuff in the club world. And it's the worst possible thing. And I've seen that kind of stuff ruin so many kids and harm so many lives. And so please, people, don't do that. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. If the club track, you're supposed to learn something. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be building character. And once they get to the high school level, you're supposed to be trying to get them into college. Like, if it ain't about that, it's all about ego.
Well said. Anybody who's got a lump in their throat or anybody who's heated right now needs to take some rest and really evaluate why you feel the way you feel. So transitioning to another question, we've seen a lot of impressive performances with this, what we'll call a track season, a collaboration or a collective of meets, we'll call it that. Which of them, yeah.
COVID exhibition.
Ooh, trademark that one.
That hat's got you on point tonight, man. We need to wear that hat more often. Yeah, on point.
That's because he just escaped from Erotic City.
Oh my gosh, he's still going.
You have a cup tonight?
I do not.
Okay.
It's because he ate the pizza from Utah. That's why.
Okay.
Never eat pizza.
Anyways, which of these performances did you find most impressive, and what do those mean for the possible Olympics next year?
Ooh, I get to go first this time, huh?
Yes, you do.
I feel like this is going to be one of those rotations where we go around the circle a few times, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pick my performance because I think it's one of the more ridiculous things I've seen in a long time. It's Carson Warholm, but 46.87 and 45.02 or 04, same day, like 45 minutes. Like the last time I saw that or something like that was Reggie Wyatt, national record in 300 hurdles and 45 seconds in the open 4. I think they're in reverse order, but whatever it is, like that's the last time I saw something like that. So I thought that would be impressive, like in a monster year, like in a Diamond League meet. The fact that it happened in like lane 8 in the Come On In Invitational, I know it's called the Diamond League meet, but there was nobody in that meet, right? And my man like scared the world record in the 400 hurdles and scared his PB or broke his PB in the 400. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Did you say the Come On Invitation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
You don't have a cup tonight, huh?
Not only do I not have a cup, I have given up alcohol for the month of
September. Hey, nobody asked you for all that information, bro. We just asked about the cup.
But wait, sir, you didn't answer the question. We heard you. That was impressive. What does that mean for the Olympics?
Oh, I'm sorry. That means that Carson Warholm is going to win the Olympics in the 400 hurdles.
All of it.
That's what it means.
Okay, so of course he knew that I was going to pick Warholm. That's why he wanted to go first.
Oh, you know what? I'll take that back. I'll give you somebody else.
No, it's too late.
You're coming around in a minute.
It's too late. Oh, so you want me to go? I'll go ahead and go. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, that was the most impressive thing I've seen. I've seen some other impressive things. I think that what Houlihan's been doing, it was phenomenal. I've been really impressed with, I'm going to be a homer here, what Corey McGee has done. She's, 4:21 for a full mile and a 2 flat 0.1 in the 800 when I think her PB before was like 2:05. Obviously, Noah's been Noah, Michael's been Michael. Michael was a different kind of Michael this time. And I think that for me, what it means is that it's just, people have to understand something. And I guess the Olympics weren't totally called off until April or May, right? So people were still training and believing that they were going to be in the Olympics. So I think that, what you've seen, whether it be from the high school level, the high school kid that ran 20:33, You know, the other high school kid that ran 44.9. If you look back traditionally in Olympic years, you see stuff like that. So I think that what you've seen is just an extension of that was hoping to be in Olympics that became, what'd you call it, Clyde? The COVID
Exhibition.
COVID exhibition.
Yeah, and so I think that's just an extension of that. What I see out of Mr. Warholm is that he is planning a very calculated attack on the world record. That's what I see. I'm never going to be as bold to predict that anybody's going to win the gold medal, because anything and everything can and will happen on a single day. We'll see what happens when we get to that day, but there's no doubt in my mind that he has a very, very calculated plan to break Kevin's long-standing world record.
All right, so I'll stick with the Warholm situation, because I think we all would agree that singularly, that's probably the most impressive thing that we have seen this year. The problem for me when it comes to Warholm is, like, I'm a huge fan of that dude, and I've had the pleasure of being able to see him train in person. He's an absolute monster. And I agree with Lucious. What he's doing is very calculated. They've been focused on it, and they're executing it. And as far as I'm concerned, if he didn't stutter and clip number 10, he had the world record in that race. I go as far as to call Warholm my second favorite male athlete in the sport right now. But my favorite male athlete is Ry Benjamin. And what I think Warholm's performance means for the Olympics is that, much like the women in 2019, I think it's going to take a new world record by both athletes to separate the gold and the silver in that particular event at the Olympics next year. I think it's that level between those two men. Personally, I'm still taking Benjamin, but that's just me. Staying outside of that box, this is not an event that I usually pay a lot of attention to, but I'm a huge fan of Mondo Duplantis. I think he's phenomenal, and what he's been doing, including, I think it was today, if I have my timeline right, it was today or yesterday, jumped, what was it, 605 in the pole vault, in the
607, I think.
607 in the same competition that our American star managed to get over 6 meters as well. So, like, what Mondo is doing, and mostly been doing it out there by himself, is, you know, just ridiculous. And I'm a huge fan of his focus and his discipline and his commitment to what he does. He's obviously been doing it since he was a little kid. And, you know, he's just a lot of fun to watch. And I'm not a person that spends a lot of time watching pole vaults. So, you know, those two stood out for me. And because I figured he wouldn't do it, because he has, you know, he's not a full and complete homer all the time, but I'm going to do it for him. If you guys didn't, if the audience has not seen Grant Holloway's hurdle race in Budapest, yeah, the race he lost, yeah, the race he ran an uninspiring 13.3 or whatever it was, 22, whatever it was. If you look at the race on paper, you're not going to be worried or impressed about it, but you better go watch that video, because what you saw on that tape is a prelude to a world record in the men's 110-meter hurdles. You have never, a person, I don't care who you're talking about, have never seen the type of start, acceleration, and separation that Grant Holloway delivered from hurdles 0 through 5. Like, from blocks through 5, maybe even call it 6 to 7, that boy did something that has never been seen before. And the only reason he lost, the only reason he delivered the final time that he delivered, is because he was going too damn fast and didn't know what the hell to do with it. That is a prelude to a world record. And if you know anything about the hurdles and know what you're looking at, that should be obvious to you and throw you back in your chair while watching the COVID experiments, the COVID whatever that you want to be watching this year. That race had me, like, in my seat. It was phenomenal, and I'm very excited to see what the team of Holloways can get done, you know, down south. So those are the people that stand out to me. There are others that we could and probably should mention, but the other than those examples, for me, oddly, the rest of it don't mean a hell of a lot of anything. Because at the end of the day, you still got to show up. You still got to stay healthy. And if you're on that kind of tear right now, you're going to have to find a way to duplicate it when it really, really matters. And we'll see. There's a whole lot of performances this year like that jumped out to people, but can they do it when it matters?
We have to give a shout out to Miss Miller-Weibo. I mean, you know, sub 10, you know, sub 22 and sub 50. I mean, she kind of gets overlooked because that's kind of what she does, but it's still very impressive. You have to give her credit for that. And but I think with her, it just kind of gets you thinking. So which way is she gonna go? Is she planning a 1-2 double, a 2-4 double? Which I don't think the 2-4 is doable. So if she's trying to double, maybe she's gonna still up in the one of the two. You know, and you know, knowing Lance Brahman as we do, he's not afraid to go for it. He's not.
You know, I think in a one-off situation, I think Sha'Carri Richardson's reclamation project that's been done between her and her coach, and what it looks like she could be able to do, is at least it's worth mentioning, and it could be a harbinger. But there's so much that goes into a full Olympic year of races that one-off times just don't really mean that much. I think everybody on this panel kind of feels that way. One of the things I will say that's been happening very quietly that nobody's paying attention to is Donovan Brazier he has honed in his ability to race and bulletproofed his ability to win, because he has now, I've seen him win from the front, from the middle, from the back. And if you can do that in 8, can't nobody beat you, because you can jog in the prelims and get in, and then you can take it to everybody in the face in the final, and like, let's see what y'all got less in the last 200, and nobody's got what he has. So I very quietly, and I think it's one of those deals, if you're paying attention, you realize that dude he's making himself, if he stays healthy, he's making himself darn near unbeatable.
And the thing about Donovan is that Donovan has done what a lot of people fail to do. We all knew Donovan had great foot speed, but he has managed to keep his foot speed, but he's a lot stronger. If you watch the 335 he ran, it was like all in the last 300. He flew home. And his finishing ability is absolutely incredible. He doesn't break down. He doesn't fall apart. Very, very impressed with that guy. And that's a great call there, Lamar, because he's always been one of my favorite athletes. Became a bigger favorite when he wasn't wearing the Aggie uniform anymore, you know? So, but no, I totally agree. What he's been doing this summer has been phenomenal. And you talk about a guy that's, you know, you got to mark down as one of the favorites, if not the favorite of the 800 next year. It's got to be him. It's got to be him.
Well, let's lighten it up before we make you all cry with our heartbeat props. Personal question. If you were going to coach another event, other than what you coach currently, what would it be and why?
I'll be very quick on this. Technically, by trade, I'm a sprints and hurdles coach. The only other thing that I would attempt to coach is jumps. 1, because I've been successful doing so, and 2, even though I hate it, it's the only other thing I'm really qualified to do. I don't have the temperament to coach distance runners. I will never coach pole vaulters because I am not trying to get somebody killed on my watch. And I feel like I could do the throws. I like throwers. They're a fun group to be around. But, you know, that's a lot of learning. And I don't know if I want to do all that extra learning right now. So I'm a cheat and say the jumps, even though I already kind of do that.
Is that for me to go next, Lamar?
That's up to you, sir. I honestly feel like it's up to you.
Okay, I'll go. You know, yeah, obviously I'm a sprints hurdles guy. And
Are you?
A little bit. I want absolutely nothing to do with the field events. No. They're wonderful to watch, but this whole, okay, we're going to come down here and do this 6 times stuff. I'm good. I'm a one and done guy. Let's get it done. Let's go home. This, got to have 3 jumps, 3 throws, come back. And the pole vault makes no sense to me at all. None. It's like, so, it just, I get it, but I don't get it. It's a beautiful thing to watch when it's done right. Okay. I absolutely can't see it at the bottom. It's lovely at the top. I don't know what causes at the top because I can't see the bottom, but so y'all can have the foot events. I'm good. I'm good. Nothing personal against the foot event people out there. I love watching the events. I just don't want to coach. Okay. You will find me at the discus cage. You will find me at the shot, the long triple. I love those events. I just don't want coaching. So for me, I'm going to go venture into the distance events because I actually like the distance events. They intrigue me. The different elements of it, the speed, the endurance, the speed endurance, the patience, the race planning. I coached the distances at the high school level and I absolutely loved it. I actually delved into the distances a little bit at one point in time here at the university when we had some coaching changes going on. So, I'm racing over there to the distance events. I'm running right past all the field event stuff. I'm good. I'll come hang out with my man Clyde and watch him coach the jumps, but y'all can have that.
So I'm assuming, Clyde, you're going to coach the jumps minus the pole vault?
Exactly.
Okay. You going to get a volunteer for that?
Yes, I am, sir. Yes, I am.
Well, okay, so the only event area I have not coached is the distances. So I don't think that any group of distance runners wants me to coach them because I don't think that would go well. I also don't have the right temperament to coach the distance runners because patience is not my virtue. And so I would probably almost always have my guys or women making moves too soon. And yeah, that would not be good. And plus I don't think that you're supposed to run the 10K in a speed suit. And that's what we're doing. So I will pick from the events areas that I have coached, and I'll give the answer of if I was not going to coach, we'll say the combined events, what would I coach? And this group of people just seem to be the ones that my temperament matches theirs, and that's the throwers. I've been a throws coach. I liked being a throws coach. It's an interesting, to Lucious's point, it's a very interesting deal to fight a 6-round fight. And it gets even more interesting doing that at major championships when it's a 2-day fight, or if it's a 6 rounds, but it's got like a 5-hour break in between those first 3 and last 3. So I think I would be a throws coach. And I think if I had to pick in the throws events areas, I would probably go javelin, discus, shot put, hammer. Yeah, that's right. Javelin, discus, shot put, hammer. I don't dislike the hammer. I love the hammer. But yeah, it's you have to watch something moving very, very fast and watch whether it moves about this far, too far to the left, or too far to the right if your hammer thrower is left-handed, and that's not always the most fun. So, yeah, I guess I'd be a throws coach.
See, and I love the hammer. I'm not coaching it. Love the hammer. And I can tell you something I'm absolutely not coaching is the multis. Yeah, right. No chance.
Listen, I hate coaching jumps because of the round after round after round makes me want to explode. I have coached the multis. That is suicide.
As have I.
I hate it.
But certain aspects, I'm not coaching. The thing about the guy that tries to coach them all, every event, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. No. Exactly. That guy right there. I'm good.
You got to be built for it, man.
Okay. I'm not built for it then.
Nope. I'll get you through it.
Yes, I'm there. I'm going to coach the heck out of the events that I coached within the multi. But see, when you get to that one event which is always the pole vault on the men's side. You do to a record pace, miss, and we just waited 2 days.
Listen, I assure you this. There is no better spectacle, and I do mean spectacle from every definition of the word.
If you say the decathlon pole vault, I'm gonna throw something at you.
No, sir. There is no better spectacle than watching the indoor or outdoor SWAC men's multis competition.
Oh my God.
Because of the pole vault. Because you have an array. You have people who can legitimately vault, and then you have people whose life could end at any second. And all you have to do is sit there and take it. I've seen full-blown helicopters in the air. I've seen the kid bust his head on the poles. I've seen it all. And since I'm never responsible for that event, I just sit there and hope that we all get to go home at the end of the day. So visit SWAC championships, indoor, usually Birmingham, Alabama, outdoor, Prairie View, and show up early and watch the multis, because it is a phenomenal spectacle of effort and lives and all things in between. It is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And as a former coaching colleague of mine used to say, it's not a real multi-competition until somebody no heights in the pole vault.
That's right.
Until
we talking about no heights at like 8 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, look, having been in it, I will say there might not be anything more entertaining nor dangerous to watch than decathlon pole vault warm-ups.
Oh God.
Yes.
Because
And when you have a guy
fearless.
Yeah, when you have a guy that can vault well, and you have people in the competition that can't, you always tell him, do not watch them. Turn your back. Do not watch them. Close your eyes. Do something. Don't watch.
Listen,
it
takes a special kind of kid to know he or she in an example of a regular vault, but in the multi, to know that he can't vault for real, but is going to run down there with this long ass stick and try to get off the ground. Like, it is nothing but respect for those kids. Like, my God, because I assure you, I tried it once in 10th grade. The bar was at 6 feet. I could high jump 6'6", 6'7". No, I did it one time, almost lost my life. No, never again. Chuck, why don't you do the multis? You're an athlete. I'm cool on the pole vault. I'm not doing it.
Alan Johnson used to tell me that all the time. He's like, I would do all the events in the decathlon. I think it'd be fun. He goes, but I'm not pole vaulting under any circumstances.
No, sir. No, sir.
When I first started vaulting, I had a vault coach, not coaching me, but I heard him say to one of his young athletes, run fast, hold high, and pray you make the pit.
Wow.
Hey, they didn't tell me nothing.
And yes, so yeah.
They just said, go for it.
I'm good.
Oh
my goodness, I love it. I love that perspective on you all. I'm sure everyone right now is like, wow, didn't know that.
So I know a competition I can win. Vault coaching on this panel.
Easily.
Contest.
Because you'll be the only contestant.
I'm about to say, you versus Chew, because we gonna be there.
Exactly.
Just popcorn.
Look, see, just so you know, we're rooting for Chew. So
I'm 100% sure of that.
Exactly. Yes, you are. Because you're gonna cheat anyway. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you should cheat.
So this is how he cheats. He's the one who I learned how to coach the pole vault from.
Hey, that's my point.
Win-win.
So there's going to be this one point where he knows something that he's not going to remind you of, and so he cheats right there.
Oh,
I don't know what you was talking about.
Of course you don't.
So with that, let's redeem Lamar's heart here for a second. Let's make sure it's red and blue before it hits oxygen.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get started with our heartbeat props. As always, let's close out this evening, day, whenever you're watching it. with those who we want to recognize who have helped us be who we are, be where we are while they're still here. So, Lamar, we're going to let you go first so you don't look like such a demon.
Well,
Oh, he's taking the glasses off. Oh, watch out.
I
Oh, and the
am.
hat too.
Oh,
I
man.
am.
Oh, no.
And I think it's because I don't know if either one of these people watch the show, but I do know for sure that neither one of them know what they mean to me. My heartbeat props go to the first two blue chip athletes that ever told me yes, that they were coming to the school that I was coaching at. And one was a shot putter from Pocatello, or as he used to say, Pocatello, Idaho, who had a 32 ACT and was a 64-foot shot putter, and he's 6'5" and 290 pounds. And the other was the national high school record holder in the high school heptathlon at the time. And I had no business, I won't say I had no business recruiting them. That's not necessarily true, but they for sure came to where I was because they believed in me more so than believed in A, what I had done as a coach, or B, what we had done in those event areas at the program, because neither were very long. Proudly, they're both coaches, and they're pretty amazing. And I want to give my heartbeat props to my first two blue chippers, Lauren Reimer and Zeb Sion. Zeb Sion is now the coach of the American record holder in the women's discus.
Interesting.
Stu, are you following him today?
Sure, I will. Again, I go back and forth all week thinking about this because I'm like, who can I highlight? Like, who's helped me get to where I am? And I can't believe it's taken me this long to think about this. My heartbeat props go out to, people who don't have athletic achievements yet, or not track achievements. I should say that. I should be more relevant than that. My mediums, my two kids, they allow me to be a coach. They allow me to be their mom, but moreover, they're coaches' kids, and they didn't choose that, but they allow themselves to do it, and they allow me to be that person. The all infamous is we were at San Francisco State. We were hosting CCAs that year. Riley, so that was 2014. So she was, oh God, how old are my kids? 8 and 6 at the time. And they're sitting in the weather cover playing with weather. They weren't playing. They were slinging Gatorade to the athletes, those were my kids. They're like, if you give us a quarter, you can have this Gatorade. But they're ride or dies, they may not like it all the time. Like, Mom, can we go home? And I'm like, no, like, I've got a little bit more of work to do. You're going to be fine. We're going to go home in a little bit. They go back, they're playing under my desk in my cubicle, bless the assistant coaches or head coaches that I've worked with. They've embraced them. They've occupied them. They've made bathroom runs in the middle of a long jump, triple jump competition for me because, I say out loud, when I'm in this coach's box, I'm not mom, I'm coach. And so, the smart ass kids that I have, they're like, Coach Chu. I'm like, this mother, but they allow me to be me. They allow me to pursue my passion. And I can't ignore that. I'm their mom, and that's who I am to them, and that's who I always will be to them. But they also allow me to be shared with the other athletes, and they have the audacity. My children have the audacity to ask about them, the people who steal time from them, and so it's great. It really is. And to know at this point, my daughter being almost 14, she asks like, how's IUPUI, Mom? How's Kelly doing in the pole vault? And dang well, Riley has no clue what, I don't think she even really knows what the pole vault is, but she knows that Kelly does the pole vault. So, I have to recognize them, and my heart will always belong to them. But those are my heartbeat props for this week.
Shall I go next, or would you like to?
It's your choice, sir. Doesn't matter to me. If you'd like to go last, if you want to be the anchor man, I'll go now.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to give my heartbeat props tonight to a group of people. These ladies, they raise our children. They prop us up when we're tired. They're very understanding when we miss holidays, we miss birthdays. They're understanding of the midnight calls, the early morning calls, and all the things that involve with being a coach. And my heartbeat props are to the coaches' wives, because without them, we would not be who we are. Impossible to even measure what my coach's wife means to me. And I know a bunch of coaches' wives out there, and I don't know if the husbands do a good enough job of letting you know how much we respect you, how much we love you, how much we truly appreciate everything that you've done for us and will continue to do for us. We say it amongst ourselves, so now I'm saying it publicly. Heartbeat props to the coaches' wives and everything that you do to keep us on the right path. Thank you very much.
Bravo, sir. You should have gone last. If you knew what it was,
Damn it.
you should have went last. But you know what? It's interesting. One of the hilarious things to me about this show is that how often we arrive on similar brain waves without actually talking about it in advance.
Mm-hmm.
There are 4 of us here, and tonight 75%, 3 out of 4 are going to talk about family ultimately. My heartbeat props tonight go to the absolute best human being that I know, and that is Miss Tiana B, who just celebrated her 35th birthday this past Sunday.
Whoop, whoop.
You'd be shocked to realize that, but yes, she is 35. What can I even say? This girl, I've known her for 16 years. She's been my best friend for 16 years. She speaks about a ride or die. She is absolutely mine. A person who I can both watch Sex and the City and The Wire in the same house and enjoy each of them thoroughly. Ultimately, we all understand what a phenomenal superstar she is on the track, but honestly, I don't give a damn about none of that. It's about the person that she has always been, and about how she has managed to go through life with such grace and poise, given all of the horrific things that she's had to suffer through. This is a woman who we could not speak for years and fall right back into our old routine as the best of friends, like we never stopped speaking at all. I would not be the coach, the man that I am today without her presence in my life. I feel very fortunate to have her in my life. She is my best friend. She is my soulmate. She is my family. And T, I love you, kid. And I'm sure 16 years later, we still gonna be doing the same nonsense we doing now. So heartbeat props to Miss Tiana B.
And you definitely should have went last.
I just know this. I'm glad I went first.
Yeah, you kind of got crushed tonight, didn't you?
Ooh, no, I'm good.
That would have been a soft
I'm
landing.
talking about for the emotional part of it.
Yeah.
So he's still kind of a demon, just a little bit.
Jiminy Christmas.
Anyhow, whew, we hit the spectrum today. We really did. We really did. But as always, you get amazed, and all of your words are profound. And then we get a view of your personalities that you don't necessarily get to see when you're watching ESPN when they're showing the SEC championships, or when you're watching whatever the Sydney documentary is, and I just forgot the name of it. I'm sorry. I'm a horrible friend. I'm horrible. Or when we get to watch Tiana's Instagrams and Chuck's in the background just, having his commentary, to see the other perspectives on our tiles on our screen is awesome. And it just shows how amazing you three gentlemen are. So I thank you for your time tonight. Have a great week ahead of you, and we'll reconvene in about a week. Thank you so much.
Go.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth hit them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics, WWWHHHHHHAAAAA, there's no others. Track and field's pace and we'll peel to go further. Hey, Wile E. Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics, WWWHHHHHHHAAAA, the task force.